Hello. In this video, I wanted to address the concepts of your higher guide and your higher self, and how your higher being is always trying to communicate and relay information to you in order for you to awaken and then connect with your natural path of living. And so, if you want to look at the concepts of your existence as kind of like this twofold um, twofold um, set, where you're on one side in your logical three-dimensional sense of being, and you can perceive and see things that you believe with your five senses, and you kind of think of this as the whole. um, and then on the other side, you actually have your true sense, your true existence, the multidimensionality of your being, that holds all information, it holds all knowing, it holds all connections to everything that is, and in fact, it is kind of the is, and it's a reflection of the is, and it actually has all knowledge and all potential interpretations of your being at all times, including the three-dimensional space that you believe to be your sense of self. And so the way this world works, the way this scenario plays out, is your multidimensional self, your higher self, is always feeding you and nudging you information into the optimal way of being, right? The way of living with creation, the way of living with natural balances of the world. You're always connected to love. You are love. You're propagating love, and everything that is you is love, right? And so that is the signal that is coming from the higher space of being, the higher space of creation. And then over here in your three-dimensional sense of self, you're living for the most part, unless you're, the few who who have bridged this gap. Um, you're living in the complete unknowing that this is your true existence, right? And so you almost, through this unknowing, created this barrier. I have referred to it in the past as a firewall. Some people refer to it as a veil. The idea that you are, as is this three-dimensional being with your five senses. That idea within itself creates this separation from the greater whole, from your higher self of being and your higher realm of existence. And so to to open your eyes, to unlock your true potential, to look past the veil, or look outside of the matrix, or access your higher being, or access unity consciousness, whatever you want to call it, enlightenment. um, the the simplest step there is step one is remove this barrier, right? So the information is being sent, the knowledge is always there, the oneness of the whole is being communicated. But if you imagine yourself being in this little bubble, separate from the truth of the world, then this bubble to you is your little artificial existence, right? The what people would refer to as artificial reality, or the matrix. You think of this as your existence, but in fact, your existence is the whole. And then the separation of what creates this veil, or creates the separation of the bubble, is your perception, your idea behind the fact that I am this, right? And as long as you walk this life, as long as you walk this world with cognitive or even subcognitive interpretation that this is me, and this is my life, and this is my existence, and this is the five senses, and these are the colors that I see, and these are the actions that you can perform. As long as you walk within that paradigm, this will be your truth going forward, right? And so those are select few, or what you're being called to, or the yearning that you have inside, is to break away from this bubble, right? To break the bubble and start seeing your truth. So your higher self, right, is kind of pulling you away, or trying to unlock this lock that you have placed on yourself. And so that is where we find ourselves in right now. Your higher self is pulling harder than ever, as you find yourself locked behind this veil. And so How do you open yourself up to potential? How do you unlock the paradigm of your limited existence? Is belief, right? Changing your belief, um, un- quantitatively dislodging your limited thinking, right? Start breaking away from quantitative thinking, and start thinking and living and recognizing the multidimensional way of being, right? Start accepting the fact that you can experience something outside of your five senses. Start accepting the fact or recognizing the fact that something that you feel around you could not be explained with the five senses. Something you might see could not be explained with, the spectrum of color that you have currently set yourself to perceive. And so that acceptance and that acknowledgement that something is calling you, your higher self, the greater knowing, the oneness, the existence, and that is in fact you, right? You are this all encompassing multidimensional being that exists as part of the whole. And so realize that this is who you are, and this is who you have been thinking that you are. And then maybe through that recognition of, like, I have been limiting myself, right? So far, I've been limiting myself in my perception, in my existence, and I've been limiting the way I interpret things. I've been limiting my way of living. I've been limiting my way of loving. I've been limiting my way of caring, because I identify these things as my truth. Um, there, you know, there's nothing wrong with identifying them as your truth going forward. Um, but as you listen to your own voice, as you listen to your own interpretation, sooner or later the call needs to be answered, and you need to answer your own call of interpreting this reality from the true standpoint of your higher self, your higher existence, and not be limited in your little bubble or your little beyond the veil matrix of smallness. And so start experiencing your being outside of your limits. I'm not saying go and push the limits, that's not a thing. But start recognizing that if I have been limiting myself and my higher self is calling, my higher self is talking to me, my higher self is guiding me, how have I not been listening to that truth? How have I been shutting myself off from the self recognition, and going about it some other direction, some other way? And so within that recognition, you can then start to build a relationship of listening and becoming your higher self, right? By simply listening to your higher self, you will become your higher self. So that is the easy way to kind of start and recalibrating your being or reinterpreting your being, is by recognizing what is that my higher self is guiding me to do, right? These scenarios that I have set up in my life, where am I being pulled to, right? um these things that have not come into fruition, that I long for to come into fruition, why have they not? What is the message behind those things, or them not coming into fruition, right? What is there? Am I being guided elsewhere? Am I actually longing for something else, right? And so that internal feeling, that pull that you feel within you, that magnetism, is your higher self talking to you. It is your higher self guiding you, and wanting to wake up, right? And so start having a conversation, start having a relationship with the essence of you. And then through that, that those micro steps, one by one, of where you listen and then you behave in the way that honors and resonates with your higher self, that relationship will grow stronger and stronger and stronger, right? And then it will be easier with each notion, with each move, with each idea, to start to see beyond your limited perception. And then as you listen to your higher self more and more and more, more of your multidimensionality will open to you, more of your truth will open to you. And then that relationship will become dynamic to where the you in the three-dimensional sense almost starts to fade, right? You're fading away from the really your non-existence. This would be classified as non-existence, and then you are awakened to the true potential and the true existence of your actual true being. And in that trueness, you can start to live your life. You can actually start to interpret yourself. The beauty, the unimaginable beauty, just comes out whenever you establish that relationship. And so I say beauty, but that does not do it justice. And so the most sublime ideas of ecstasy you can possibly imagine comes from your relationship facilitation with your higher being, and then living that relationship, living that truth, allowing your truth to flow. And then as that energy flows around you and is within you, you start to change potential. You start to change your interpretations of self, from your limited belief and unto the unlimited realities that you actually are. And so that is what your higher self is doing. That is what your higher self is asking you to do. That is where your life is going. And so start questioning your own self. Start questioning of if something doesn't feel right, if something just doesn't jive with you. Could it be your internal knowing? Could it be the higher self talking to you from beyond the veil, beyond your limited bubble of self, and is trying to communicate to you in some way or form, right? Outside of your senses, outside of your limited perceptions. And it's because it pulls you from beyond. And that beyond is usually not linear. It is usually not something that you can cognitively perceive or even, kind of like put your finger to. Now, sometimes it's very adamant. Sometimes a smack in the face is a smack in the face. But you obviously don't want to get to that point. And so start asking and listening to the subtle energies of your being. Start asking yourself, start talking to yourself. And then in that subtleness, you can build a hearty relationship that is the essence of your truth, and not the lies you have come to know and live thus far. So hope this is helpful, and happy living.